You noticed it, didn't you, chosen one? That quiet but undeniable moment when your energy started pulling back from certain people. At first, you couldn't explain it. Everything felt fine on the surface, but deep down, something didn't sit right anymore. The conversations that once made you feel alive suddenly left you drained. You began to sense that being around them dimmed your light instead of feeding it. It wasn't an attitude shift, it was a spiritual awakening. You were outgrowing the spaces that once felt like home because your spirit was evolving beyond what those environments could offer. What you're experiencing is sacred. The silence you're drawn to isn't isolation, it's divine insulation. God often separates you before he elevates you. You might feel guilty for pulling away, but that distance is your protection. The truth is, when your frequency rises, some people can no longer breathe in the same atmosphere. It's not about pride or ego, it's about preservation. You're not meant to be everywhere, and not everyone is meant to walk this next path with you. This inner shift is a sign that your spirit has recognized something your eyes haven't yet seen. So if you've been feeling that tug to withdraw, don't fight it. Trust the feeling. It's your higher self responding to a truth your heart already knows. There are moments in life when separation doesn't make sense until you've healed enough to see clearly. You might have blamed yourself for the distance, wondering if you said something wrong or if you should have tried harder to fix things. But here's the truth. You didn't lose them. You were led away. God saw what your heart couldn't. He heard conversations behind your back, sensed intentions you couldn't perceive, and understood that their presence was interfering with your purpose. What looked like rejection was really divine intervention. When you're chosen, not everyone is allowed access to your next season. You see, God doesn't expose everything at once. He lets discomfort do the revealing. That heavy energy you began feeling around certain people, that was your spirit picking up on their true vibration. When you started feeling uneasy, withdrawn, or strangely tired after being around them, it wasn't random. Your discernment was kicking in. Every chosen soul goes through this, a divine disconnection meant to cleanse their atmosphere before the next elevation. Silence becomes your safeguard because your words no longer belong in circles that don't honor your calling. So don't chase what God chose to release. Your peace is the evidence that the separation was necessary. When you stop explaining yourself, you begin to see who truly cared about understanding you. The chosen ones often struggle with this, that deep need to clarify their heart, to fix misunderstandings, to make peace with those who misjudged them. But there comes a moment when silence says more than any explanation ever could. Silence reveals who was truly listening and who was simply waiting to speak. It becomes a mirror that reflects the intentions of others without you uttering a single word. Your silence is not weakness, it's strategy. Every time you hold back from defending yourself, you give truth the space to speak on your behalf. You allow God to show what's real without your interference. The loudest proof of your growth is your restraint. When they expect a reaction and get stillness instead, that's when your spiritual maturity shines through. People can argue with words, but they can't argue with peace. In the stillness, your energy tells the story, and those with discernment can hear it. Sometimes the best response is no response at all, because silence carries the weight of wisdom. There are conversations that happen about you when you weren't there, and though you never heard the words, your spirit felt them. That sudden anxiety, that strange emotional heaviness out of nowhere, it was energy being exchanged in your absence. The chosen ones are spiritually sensitive. They can sense when their name is being used in rooms their feet never entered. And this is why God often isolates you before elevation, because not everyone who claps for you is clapping from the heart. Some are clapping to keep appearances, while secretly hopping you fall. The truth is, spiritual warfare doesn't always look like open conflict. Sometimes it's disguised as concern. They'll speak of you under the mask of advice or care, but the intention behind it carries envy or resentment. When you start ascending, their conversations shift, your growth threatens the comfort of their stagnation. That's when God begins to separate you. You're being shielded, not shunned. You don't need to know everything that was said. The proof is already in how the energy shifted. Trust that God heard every word and responded by repositioning you for protection. Sometimes the reason you didn't see the truth earlier is because your heart wasn't ready to handle it. You would have defended the wrong people, protected the ones working against you, or blamed yourself for their betrayal. That's why God, in His mercy, delayed certain revelations. You weren't being kept in the dark. You were being kept safe from a truth that could have broken your spirit too soon. He waited until your discernment matured, until you could see without reacting, understand without anger, and move on without vengeance. When the time came, He lifted the veil gently, revealing what you once refused to believe. Chosen one, the delay was divine protection. If God had shown you the truth too early, you would have tried to fix what He was already removing. That's why some friendships, relationships, or even family ties dissolved suddenly. It wasn't your failure, it was His rescue mission. The betrayal was a bridge leading you out of what was blocking your blessings. You might not have known what was happening back then, but now, in hindsight, you see it clearly. The distance was deliverance. Every unanswered call, every closed door, was saving you from deeper pain. So when the truth finally surfaced, remember, you weren't blind. You were being protected until your heart was strong enough to see. There are times when someone's words seem right, but their energy exposes them. Have you ever been around someone whose presence just felt off? They smiled, they laughed, they said all the right things, yet something inside you felt uneasy. That's your spiritual radar speaking. Energy never lies. God gave the chosen ones a gift of deep discernment, and when you ignore it, you invite unnecessary storms. Some of the most dangerous people in your life didn't hurt you with words. They drained you silently with energy that opposed your purpose. When you walk with divine light, darkness recognizes you before you recognize it. That's why certain people grew distant the moment you began evolving. Your energy started convicting their spirit. They couldn't pretend anymore. Don't be shocked when familiar faces suddenly become uncomfortable around your growth. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. As you rise, your energy becomes a mirror exposing what others are hiding. Let them leave. You're not losing anything. You're simply becoming too real for their illusion. Always trust your spirit's first reaction. It felt it before your mind understood it. No one talks enough about the quiet loneliness that comes before elevation. It's not just about losing people, it's about being misunderstood by everyone around you. You start realizing that no one truly sees your soul, they see their version of you. You walk into rooms that once felt familiar and suddenly feel like a stranger. The conversations no longer fit. The laughter feels forced. That ache inside isn't sadness, it's spiritual stretching. You're being expanded for a reality your old circle can't comprehend. It's in that lonely space that God starts building your inner strength. He silences the noise so you can hear His direction clearly. You begin to detach from validation, approval, and the need to be understood. That's where real freedom begins. When you stop trying to belong everywhere, you realize you were meant to stand apart. The chosen ones always face solitude before recognition. It's the price of divine preparation. So, if you feel like no one gets you right now, don't despair. The isolation is proof of your evolution. Remember, you're not alone, you're being aligned. There's something incredibly powerful about choosing silence when you have every reason to respond. The chosen ones are often tested through misunderstandings, gossip, and false accusations. It's tempting to defend your name, to correct the lies, to prove your truth. But sometimes, silence is the loudest statement you can make. When they expect you to react and you stay still, it confuses them because your peace can't be manipulated. The truth always reveals itself, and those who spoke against you eventually expose themselves without your help. People who live in drama crave reaction. Silence starves their ego. That's why you must never feed what you've already outgrown. Your silence protects your spirit from unnecessary battles. Every word you don't say becomes a seed of wisdom that grows in strength. Let your calmness be your power, because silence in the face of chaos is a sign of spiritual mastery. One day, the same people who doubted you will realize that your quiet was never weakness. It was divine discipline. Never forget, silence isn't surrender, it's strategy. Stillness has a way of shaking the spiritual atmosphere. When you stop explaining, chasing, and defending, those who are pretending can no longer hide behind confusion. Your silence becomes a mirror that reflects their true intentions. The ones who were loyal will stand firm, and the ones who were false will slowly distance themselves because they can no longer feed off your reaction. That's the beauty of being chosen. Your quiet presence exposes more than your words ever could. You don't have to lift a finger. The energy shift alone does the revealing. This is why God tells his chosen to stay silent in certain seasons. It's not punishment, it's protection and preparation. He wants you to see who's genuinely for you without the distraction of your voice. When you're still, the truth begins to surface naturally. The people who were with you for the wrong reasons start to panic because they can't read your silence. They realize they can no longer manipulate your emotions or predict your next move. In the stillness, revelation unfolds, and what was once hidden becomes painfully obvious. So stay quiet long enough for their actions to speak. Stillness always uncovers what noise tries to hide. No one tells you how much it hurts to grow. It's not just about losing people, it's about losing versions of yourself that once felt safe. The people you prayed with, dreamed with, laughed with, suddenly you see them differently. Their energy doesn't feel aligned, their conversations no longer nourish your soul. That ache you feel isn't guilt, it's transformation. Outgrowing people isn't arrogance, it's awareness. When God expands your capacity, he also shifts your circle. Some can't follow because they're not meant to sit in the next chapter of your story. It's normal to grieve what's no longer aligned. Even Jesus withdrew from the crowd to pray alone. You too must honor the pain that comes with elevation. Don't rush through the emotions, process them with grace. Remember, you're not betraying anyone by protecting your peace. Those who truly love you will understand that you're not moving away from them, you're moving toward purpose. You owe it to yourself to be where your spirit feels alive. Sometimes the ones who once walked beside you can't climb where you're headed, and that's okay. Distance doesn't always mean disconnection. Sometimes it's divine redirection. There are moments when God intentionally allows space between you and certain people so that you can see clearly. When you're too close, emotions blur discernment. You overlook red flags, excuse manipulation, and call toxicity loyalty. But when God introduces distance, he gives you perspective. Suddenly, what once felt confusing becomes clear. You see the patterns you ignored, the intentions you doubted, and the truth you didn't want to believe. It's in that separation that your spirit breathes again. The silence creates room for clarity to speak. God doesn't remove people to punish you. He removes them to realign you. What was once comfortable can quickly become destructive if you stay beyond its purpose. Sometimes, the only way he can protect your destiny is by creating discomfort that pushes you to let go. And though it hurts at first, you later realize it was the most loving thing he could have done. The distance that feels painful now will one day be the reason you're free. There's a sacred peace that follows every painful ending. At first, it feels strange, the silence is heavy, the phone doesn't ring, and the absence feels louder than any sound. But slowly, you start breathing differently. You wake up lighter. You begin to realize that the noise you thought you missed was actually the chaos you needed freedom from. That's when you understand peace was the blessing hidden behind the goodbye. When God removes someone, he replaces their presence with serenity. You no longer walk on eggshells. You no longer question your worth. You no longer beg to be seen or understood. You just are. That's peace not found in perfection but in acceptance. The chosen ones are meant to walk in this calm confidence, where nothing and no one can disturb their center. It's not pride, it's divine grounding. You survived the storm and now you're standing in stillness, realizing that everything that left made room for everything that's coming. When peace finally enters, protect it like it's sacred because it is. It's one of the hardest spiritual experiences, seeing people you once trusted begin to feel like strangers. Their words haven't changed much, but their energy has. You can sense when someone's heart has shifted. Their smiles no longer reach their eyes. Their presence doesn't bring comfort like it once did. It's confusing at first. How can people who once understood your soul now feel like they're speaking another language? That's the moment you realize they stopped growing when you kept going. Growth creates distance, not because you've become better than them, but because you've become different. Your priorities changed. Your standards rose. You're no longer entertaining the same drama, gossip, or negativity you once tolerated. That inner transformation naturally separates you from people who still live in cycles you've already broken. It's not personal, it's spiritual evolution. And though it feels lonely, it's confirmation that you're no longer bound by the same patterns. Sometimes, losing your comfort zone is how you find your true home within yourself. Betrayal is one of life's hardest teachers. It cuts deeply, not because of the act itself, but because it comes from those you never expected to hurt you. The chosen ones often experience betrayal not as punishment but as revelation. You see, loyalty can't truly be tested in calm waters, it's revealed in storms. Those who pretended to care will show their true colors when your life shifts. It's never easy to accept, but betrayal is often the push God uses to propel you into independence. It forces you to stop depending on people who were secretly draining your strength. When someone betrays you, they don't destroy you, they redirect you. They unknowingly open your eyes to the truth you were refusing to see. Sometimes, the knife in your back becomes the key that unlocks your next level. Without that pain, you might never have discovered your strength, your voice, or your worth. It's through heartbreak that you become unbreakable. One day, you'll look back and realize the betrayal didn't ruin you, it refined you. Let betrayal teach you, not harden you. There's a heaviness that comes with seeing things as they truly are. Once you awaken to the truth about people's intentions, you can't unsee it. You notice their tone, their energy, the inconsistency between what they say and how they act. It hurts because you want to love them, but your spirit can no longer ignore the truth. That's the burden of discernment. The chosen ones don't just see faces, they feel motives. It's a gift and a curse. You smile politely, but deep down, you already know what's unspoken. This awareness isolates you, but it also empowers you. Knowing the truth frees you from illusions. It gives you the strength to move differently, wiser, calmer, and more intentional. You stop trying to explain yourself to people who have already decided what to believe. You learn to preserve your energy, to stay quiet instead of correcting lies. Because the truth doesn't need defending, it just needs time. Eventually, everything hidden comes to light. Knowledge brings weight, but it also brings wisdom. You'll notice something interesting after transformation. People will start saying, "You've changed." They'll say it as if it's a bad thing, but what they really mean is, you're no longer easy to manipulate. The old version of you tolerated disrespect, gave endless chances, and explained your worth. The new you sets boundaries, stays quiet, and walks away from confusion. That change threatens those who benefited from your old self. They miss the version of you that served their comfort, not your growth. It's not your job to make others comfortable with your evolution. You don't need to shrink yourself to be accepted by people committed to misunderstanding you. Growth will cost you relationships, but it will also grant you peace. Remember, they're not upset that you changed. They're upset that they can't control you anymore. Let them talk. Let them reminisce about the old you. That person had to die for this version to live. When they say you've changed, thank them. It means you're finally becoming who you were always meant to be. After every season of loss comes a season of divine replacement. God never takes without the intention to restore. What you lost, whether it was a friend, an opportunity, or a version of yourself, was only removed to make space for what truly aligns with your destiny. Sometimes, you have to lose people who distract you to meet the ones who will elevate you. The replacement may not come immediately, but when it does, it will carry peace instead of pain, stability instead of chaos. God's replacements always come with confirmation. They feel light, not forced. They bring clarity, not confusion. You'll know it's divine because it won't drain you, it will strengthen you. The chosen ones often struggle with trusting this process because they're still mourning what was lost. But once you release the old with gratitude, you make room for the new with joy. The people and blessings entering your life next will remind you why the old had to end. Every loss was an exchange, not a punishment. There's a reason the chosen ones are often told to move in silence. When you speak too soon, you give your enemies insight into your plans. Not everyone who listens is cheering for you. Some people watch only to see when and how you'll fail. That's why silence becomes your safest shield. The less they know, the less they can interfere. When you stop announcing and start acting, your results become your response. You no longer need validation. Your progress speaks louder than your posts ever could. Purpose thrives in privacy. You don't owe anyone explanations about your next move. When God gives you instructions, they're meant for your obedience, not their approval. The chosen ones understand that not all good news should be shared. Some blessings lose power when exposed prematurely. Keep your next chapter sacred. Let them see the fruit, not the planting. Silence isn't secrecy, it's strategy. At first, their absence feels heavy, like something is missing. But as time passes, you realize the weight you're feeling isn't from loss, it's from release. You begin to see how much emotional space their presence once occupied. You have more energy, more clarity, more peace. You start smiling without forcing it. You laugh without checking who's watching. That's when you realize their absence gave you back to yourself. What you thought was breaking you was actually freeing you. Some people's presence creates confusion, but their absence restores order. Their departure was the healing your soul didn't know it needed. You were too close to see how much they drained your light. But now, without their chaos, your spirit breathes again. Every chosen one eventually realizes that not everyone deserves access to their peace. Protecting your space is not selfish, it's sacred. When people walk away, let them. Peace will always replace what left. Today, chosen one, make silence your strength. Don't respond to negativity. Don't explain your decisions. Don't justify your peace. Just be. The people who once thrived on your reactions will grow confused by your calm. The situations that used to trigger you will lose their power. You'll start realizing that your silence is no longer avoidance, it's awareness. You've learned that not every battle deserves your energy, not every truth needs your voice, and not every person deserves your presence. You've come too far to be distracted now. This season isn't about proving a point, it's about protecting your purpose. Let your stillness speak for you. God is handling everything behind the scenes, and soon, the same people who questioned your silence will witness your rise. Remember, the quiet ones are often the ones chosen for something great. Your silence today is the sound of transformation in motion. Stay silent, stay focused, stay chosen. Chosen one, if you made it to this moment, take a deep breath, because this isn't just another message, it's confirmation. You didn't lose them by accident. You didn't walk away for no reason. Every silent decision, every lonely night, every moment you wondered why, it was all part of your divine refinement. You were never meant to fit where you've outgrown. The people who walked away were simply chapters that closed so your story could continue. You've been through the fire, but look at you, still standing, still glowing, still chosen. The silence you once resented has now become your sanctuary. You've learned to protect your energy, honor your intuition, and move in peace. You've realized that silence doesn't mean weakness, it means wisdom. The world may not understand it, but heaven does. You are being repositioned for something greater than you can imagine, and the ones who left will one day witness the purpose behind your quiet rise. So today, hold your head high. Stay silent where others speak too soon. Keep walking where others stop. You're not alone in this. Every chosen soul is walking this path with you in their own sacred silence. And when your time comes, the world will understand why you withdrew, because it was in the silence that you became unstoppable. If this message touched your spirit, let your presence be felt like this video. Share it with another chosen one and comment below. My silence is sacred. Remember, your quiet season is not the end. It's the awakening of who you were always meant to be.